our center point. We'll change our hair the most. We dye it, we bleach it, we cut it, we grow it out, and it's mostly around what a guy would like. Guys like long blonde hair, and when you see this girl with short hair, you think of her as something else. You automatically assume, oh, she's not a feminine. So
I think girls can beat with girls too.
yeah.
Like and it's the guy who's perceiving, oh, you know, she's cute, you know. But a lot of times girls will dress up or try to outdress another girl, or but at the same time they'll do it for male attention. So I think girls are a girl's biggest enemy. Like they'll try to outlook a female to be the most attractive in the room. You know, so I think that too.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think we did get off topic, so
Yeah.
we should probably go back to the
Well,
topic
this
at hand.
can link back to what you were going to talk about. You're going to talk about
My heritage. There are people out there that are biracial but still get the white privilege. Because I'm half Native American, people look at me and they're like, oh, she's white. Straight up, she's totally white. And like, so I feel as though like when people like crack jokes around me, like they think it's okay because they just assume that I'm full white.
they don't know.
They don't know, so like I'm undercover, you know, they really don't know. And so like when it's easier for them to crack jokes around me, I'm just like, dude, don't say that kind of stuff. It's like, I'm Native American. Like, no, really? I'm like, yeah, dude, I am.
What kind of jokes have you heard?
I've just heard of like, just like Redskins and stuff like that, and like when people like, you know, the football team, like the Washington Redskins football team, yeah, and they're like, oh, you like that team because you're Indian or something. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why. No, I don't know. And I've heard of people like saying that there were like a lot of drunks and stuff like that because they were heritage back in the day and huge drunks and stuff like that. So, and the whole I'm sure everybody's done it, everybody's seen it. So,
Well,
yeah.
all you have to do, I'll link this to Peter Pan. The whole how, the
Yeah.
Indian song in that movie,
Mhm.
it's extremely discriminative.
What is it? I don't even know what that is.
You've never watched Peter Pan?
I don't remember. I mean, it was
Tiger Lily, you know.
Yeah, Tiger having, the whole song is, how did the red man get his skin? Well, why is the red man red?
Mhm.
And
okay.
it's just
Yeah.
asking questions that
And it's like
shouldn't be
little
taught to a little
cartoon,
kid.
yeah, little cartoon kids. I didn't really catch on with that. That's a good point that you brought that up.
I think that's something that we should also remember, that we are taught to be racist, especially when we're white, I think.
At a young age too.
Yeah.
Like, she just gave a perfect example.
We are
of it.
taught to be racist. As much as we don't want to admit it, there's racism in all of us. We all recognize color. That's the first thing we see. And I just want everyone to remember that. And I know that people have heard of like, oh, well, you know, I think it's ridiculous how black people get mad when white people are being racist, but if a black person is racist towards a white person, well, that's just racist too. I think what we need to remember here is that there's a big difference. Yes, it is possible for people of color to discriminate and be prejudiced towards somebody because they have white skin, but it's not racism. There's a difference. Racism is more of it has more of like an institutional definition, where it's like, prejudice is like on an individual basis when we discriminate one another based on our characteristics. But racism comes from white people. The superiority that we have established in the society and how we manipulate society to our personal gain. We put others that are of color down. And that's why there's no such thing as reverse racism, because white people are the ones that are in power. People of color in this society can't overpower a white person, because our authorities are all white. The people at the top, CEOs, business owners, are all white. The white person always has the advantage. So that's why there's no such thing as reverse racism.
Well, I'm Ukrainian/Gypsy, and well, I think racism, it's not just about if you're white or black, it's also what, like, nationality you are. Because, like, here, if you're, like, you speak a different language or something, I know my friend, she just came from Ukraine, and she speaks English just a little bit, and, like, people were like, oh, she's so stupid or something like that, you know, because she doesn't know how to speak English. I'm just like, hey, I'm that too, you know? And that's all I have.
I understand exactly what you're saying. That actually goes to lingualism, English being your second language. People, the Russians, Ukrainians, people from like Eastern Europe, they do have white skin, but they also are in that kind of that racial category too. But it's because they're being discriminated against because they don't usually speak English as their first language.
And then, like, if you go to Ukraine and you speak English, whatever, they always think that you're rich. And
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
It's really weird.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
But that goes with privilege, so yeah.
Do you guys understand though the difference between like racism and prejudice, and why we think that only, you know, the superior race, which is white, could be racism? Because it's more institutionalized. It's more so because they know their race is superior. Like, I can't be racist against another black person. I can be prejudiced. I cannot like them because of something that they did, or cannot like them because, you know, I just don't like them. But I cannot be racist because I don't believe in my mind that my skin color is superior over theirs, because we all know society, the superior color is white specifically. And since we all know that the superior color is white, we can never be racist against them, because the definition of racism is to think your color is superior. And I know that I would never think that my color is superior over a white person's color, because I know that their color is what society sees as superior.
Yes.
And in my mind, I can never wrap it around thinking that my color is better than theirs, because I know it's not.
Well, can I interject a little bit, just in terms of in terms of the definition of how we talk about racism? I think you all are absolutely right in saying that from a feminist theory standpoint, racism is institutional, right? It's racial prejudice that benefits the majority group in the United States. That's white people, right? But I think I do want to disagree that I think that people of color can engage in racism, not against the majority group, but I think that that it's very possible for us as people of color to reinforce white supremacy in certain ways. So by internalizing racism against ourselves, by believing that we deserve less than white folks might, or by buying into the stereotypes that we hear about other people of color. And so even though we're not getting the benefit of those racist acts, I think people of color absolutely can and do help to, not every person of color, not every act by every person of color, but I think that white supremacy depends on people of color internalizing kinds of racism and then helping. Because when I attack you as a person of color, that doesn't help me and it doesn't help you, but it helps white supremacy. Yes. So I think we can and do engage in racism in a lot of subtle and not so subtle ways.
You can horizontally and internally with other people of color, but what you're saying is but what about with white people?
Yeah,
a person
like,
of color
I be
being racist to a white
against
person. Do you agree that there's no such thing as reverse racism? That's basically what I'm asking.
Oh, yeah, feminist theory absolutely says that racism works one way. It works to support the majority race.
So I hope that's clear for everybody too. I'm sorry, what?
What is prejudice?